We go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to your creative journey. My name is Kevin Gregg.
I'm Paul Carganilla.
Welcome to the show that is designed to help you get your creative work done, whether you're an actor, writer, director, singer, dancer. What else could they be,
Yeah.
Paul?
Uh,
Hi, everyone.
they could
Welcome
be
to
looping
your
their
creative
own
journey. My name is Kevin
podcast.
Gregg.
Hang on.
I think I do. Are you doing that? Am I? Am
That
I
was
saying?
me. That was
Okay.
me. I apologize. Rookie move. It's like I've never been on a live stream before.
now I'm doing it to myself. It's been a while. What else could people be, Paul? For goodness
Well,
sake.
people could be a body painter.
Oh,
They
okay.
could be a bike courier. That sounds like fun.
Sure.
Color expert.
Okay.
A fake Facebooker.
Did you say a fake Facebooker?
Fake Facebooker.
Wow. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, people are professionally employed to make multiple fake accounts that serve a variety of purposes for advertisers.
Wow. Holy smokes. So that's literally a career. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, no matter what it is that you do, we're glad that you're here with us today.
Unless you're a scammer. If you're a scammer, we're not glad that you're here because you are the scum.
You can beat it, for goodness sake.
I don't.
Well, we're glad to have you guys here. It's been a little while since we've been with you, but we want to say hi to all of the people that are joining us on the live stream. As a matter of fact, I'm double checking to make sure that I don't cause any audio to bleed through this right now. I'm going to introduce our guest to you, who is coming to us all the way from Wellington, New Zealand today. She is a writer, a producer, a director. She's had a career with theater directing, also filmmaking as well. Now I'm trying to mute myself on this side. Boy, oh my gosh.
Aren't we just a bunch of we've done this before
It's
people?
this is madness. This
Oh,
is madness.
professional.
Anyway, this is who we have with us today. Hi, Jacqui Bree. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Hi, everybody.
Well, welcome. We want to say a quick hi to everybody that's joining us on YouTube. That's why I was trying to open up the YouTube thing. I want to say a quick hi to Angelica, Meryl. Hi, Meryl. Christina, I hope you're well. I hope Dari is well, for goodness sake. Charity, good to see you. My gosh, so glad to have you here. Well, let me give you a little bit of a background. Actually, as some of the listeners to the show, viewers of the show, know that I've been doing some creative freelancing for a while, right? There's been a big transition. Jacqui knows a little bit of my story, the fact that I started out with Disney. Actually, Paul and I both started out with Disney, and I was transitioning into doing some creative consulting and directing. And then, of course, COVID hit, and then trying to find these freelance opportunities that were out there. As fate would have it, which is odd. We won't get too much into this because we don't want to, the company that we've been working for, they've got their own awesome stuff that they're getting to roll out. But Jacqui and I actually met working on a project, working for, of all things, a math educational company that was out of Canada, out of Toronto, for goodness sake. And all of a sudden, Jacqui and I started working together on projects, which was so weird, right? Like, you've got two creatives that are working on this thing, like going, what the heck, man? I've talked a little bit about it. We don't have to give too much away because actually Jacqui and I were just sitting at a creative roundtable last week, which was pretty awesome, talking about this. But Jacqui, what the heck, man? How did two creative people meet each other working for a math company, right?
Weird. Weird and wonderful is the way I would put it. Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy, really. We're literally at the opposite ends of the world, being brought together by someone we're not even in either you and I are not in their country.
No.
And then have been brought together to work on a project. It's crazy.
It's nuts. Well, we were talking. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
What time is it there, Jacqui?
At 5:04 p.m.
Is it
On
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday for them.
She's in the future.
She's in the
I'm
future.
in the future. I'm in the future, let me tell you.
Jacqui and I were actually just talking a little bit beforehand, before we got rolling. Jacqui, have you been doing freelancing for a while, or has this whole last like year and a half been like your new foray into this? Were you messing around with it?
Yeah, kind of messing around a little bit. It was more because it wasn't COVID times, it was more I was working in Queenstown, and then I'd go camera op on a basketball game or event centre. So I was kind of dabbling in freelancing, but it wasn't until I'd say November, October of 2020 that I really sat down and was like, okay, how do we do this? And and then I was like, well, I've got to figure this out. This is something I've got to work out quickly.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like you and I kind of ran into the same situation around the same time, because here in the States, like in Los Angeles, with some of the lockdowns and everything that we had, like at one point, I was working on a couple of odd jobs with different companies here, but like literally at one point I was doing like meal deliveries, like literally doing DoorDash meal deliveries here in the States, to where my wife said, "You're not doing that. Like, you got to figure out something else." And then that's where I started saying, almost like you, where I said, okay, I've got these talents and skills. Let me put it to use. And I think it was probably around the same time as you, like probably around October, November of 2020, where I said, yeah, there's stuff that's out here. Let's try to find it,
Yeah, and I think a lot of it also was my husband was like, this is marketable. You realize that? And I said, is it really? And he was like, oh, look, and he just went and found all these jobs, and he applied on behalf of me as a wonderful manager that he is. And all of a sudden I had jobs, and it was rolling in, and then I took over and went, oh, it is marketable. Great, fabulous. And away I went.
Wow. Good for you. Is he for hire so that anybody can use?
Tell me, not anymore. Not anymore. Weta has snapped him up for the go there. So no, I don't think he's even available for me anymore.
Right. So we were just talking beforehand. Now, several months ago, we had on my friend Vinny Dyke, who was on the show. He's an American that got a work visa over in New Zealand, and he told us the story of how he had the dream of, like, he wanted to work at Weta. How would I say it correctly?
Weta.
Right. Wanted to work at Weta. And, and again, the thing is like Weta, it's, the visual effects company that Peter Jackson established for the Lord of the Rings and for, what was the Michael J. Fox, but The Frighteners. The Frighteners was one of those movies that he did where he started kind of like.
The Frighteners is what started it, with his work with Richard Taylor. So that was Weta Workshop, which is their practical effects. And now this is Weta Digital, which does like, King Kong and Godzilla and Avatar. And
didn't he just sell it for like?
He sold the software. So he sold it for like $2.5 billion. So it's proprietary software that was just Weta.
Wow.
So he's now working with Unity to launch the software so that other creators can create the textures, the furs, the movement, they came to talk to us when I was in university about what they do in their proprietary software. So they've just launched it so other people can use it. And they're changing from Weta Digital to Weta FX. So nothing really changes. It's just he's just now got lots of money.
Wow. I did want to. I had asked Jacqui before. I said, do the New Zealanders get absolutely tired of just hearing like, yeah, Peter Jackson, we get it, right? But we were talking beforehand. You were just saying like that's like he's a national treasure for you guys, right?
National treasure. Well, he's brought so much business and so much attention on New Zealand in a really positive way. There are some people that are like, he changed a lot of our laws in regards to contractors. So, for instance, I can't get into a union. I can't have an employee contract. I can only be a freelancer contract, even if I'm there for months at a time. So there's lots of laws that would trade called the Hobbit Law. So there are some changes that the government made to accommodate him. So some people aren't the biggest.
They called it the Hobbit Law.
Hobbit Law. They literally called it the Hobbit Law. Oh, sorry, I've got my young in the background.
That's okay.
And,
no worries.
So some people aren't the biggest fan, but no, big national treasure. And it's in the district where I am now. You can't go that talking to someone going, oh yeah, no, my husband works Weta, and they go, oh yeah, I know someone. Like everybody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's worked at Weta.
It's crazy. Well, Jackie's husband just got hired to work there, which is huge, right? It's an amazing thing. Jacqui, let's talk about your journey, for goodness sake. How you're in New Zealand? Was this a thing that you realized that you wanted to be a creative, or what was the thing that you wanted to do when you were growing up?
Well, I first started off in theatre when I was really, really little. So I had a speech problem. I couldn't talk properly for a long time. So I got into speech lessons, which fed into speech and drama, which fed into acting, which fed into, all that sort of stuff. So I started very, very young in my creative process with theatre. It's only in the last, I'd say, 5 years, 6 years that I've really got into film and television. So my first big love was theatre. When I was about 18, 19 years old, I went over to the Shakespeare Globe Theatre and I directed a piece, The Tempest, on the Shakespeare Globe Theatre in London.
Wow.
And that was really exciting and awesome.
Was this through a school program that you got to do this, or?
Kind of. It's a national program.
And hold on a second. We'll also do this for, I think you muted yourself for just a second.
Oh, sorry.
But no worries. And just, hey, listen, I just want to give a shout out just for our listeners, just to let them know. So Jacqui's at home with her daughter. Her daughter's feeling a little bit ill. So you'll hear her every once in a while, and that's okay. It's not a problem, right? I've been just like telling Jacqui, like, don't worry about it, right? So, and our audio guy, Steve Erdeman, will know. It's just like, hey, here's the deal. Like, we've got my son every once in a while will pop in, or, Paul's kids will pop in. We totally get it. So please, no worries at all. Right? Sweetheart.
Oh, sorry. She's just been unwell for the past week. So she's a bit grumpy.
No worries. No worries.
It was a national program. So what had happened is I'd student directed a piece in high school, and then I won my local district for that piece. I was sent to a national district with all the high schools were sent their national best pieces. I was then hand selected out of 50 people and went away for a week to up north to do this like really intensive, drama intensive, Shakespeare intensive piece. And out of those 40, 20 of us were selected to go over to the Globe. It's called the Sheila Wynne Shakespeare Festival. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very hard to do. And I was the only student director picked of the piece. The rest of them were actors. So I was the only student director, and they do that quite often. But yes, so that was how I got into that. And that was my first big kind of wow moment. My first, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
My gosh, man.
Was that the Globe Theatre? Like the one?
The Globe Theatre.
Wow. That's crazy.
So got to tread the boards, as they say, on the Globe at midnight under the stars in London, doing The Tempest.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It was very unbelievable.
Where do you go from there, right? Like, I mean, you have a moment like that where you just go, oh, yeah, I'm doing this. Now what, right?
Well, that's exactly what happened. And let's just say it took a screeching halt from that point. Yeah. My creative journey, I think adult life hit me, and anxiety hit me, and imposter syndrome hit me. And I didn't know how to handle rejection very well. I wasn't getting in where I thought I would be getting in and where I was going to go. And I didn't really know how to handle myself as an adult. Yeah. So, because I'd been focusing on doing well and doing these performances and getting a Diploma of Performing Arts from the Trinity School of London, which I'd achieved around about the same time I went to the Globe. Yeah. So I'd done all these like really, really hyper-focused activities in creativity, and then adult life came, and that was, and it came at me hard and fast. Yeah. And so there's about a period of about 10 years where I did nothing.
Yeah. It just it just stopped. I mean, was it the idea was, because this is a really interesting thing for me to unpack, because it was the original hope, and the idea was like, wow, I've worked here, I've worked on this show, I did all this stuff, now just offers and all of these things are going to start rolling in. Was it that concept, or what was it, the thought that might happen for you, or no?
I think I applied for like a I didn't really know if I wanted to be a director or if I wanted to be an actor, so I applied for a really prestigious acting school in Wellington, and I'd been shortlisted, but I didn't make it. And that didn't make it really hit me for a loop. I had in my brain imagined what it would be like. I'd worked all these years towards getting into this school and getting rejected, and having the program manager saying, you're great, but come back when you're older. Which is basically saying, come back when you're ready to handle your emotions. Because I was crying on auditions. I was kind of all over the place.
Wow. Yeah.
I really needed life. I look back now and realize I needed life experience to put into my creativity. I couldn't. Yeah.
do you think that part of it was with the, and this is nothing negative about the training or anything like that. Was it just that you had not experienced, you just hadn't experienced that rejection in any of your
No,
training? All it had just
never.
been like, it was just like a series of like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is nothing against my teachers or auditioners, people who auditioned me, but I always got the part I always wanted.
Yeah.
Or if I got chorus, I was happy to be chorus because I was in the play at least, or I was in the theatre at least. I did quite a large few national shows. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and
Yeah.
I'd done quite a large amount of theatre pieces. So I had just kept getting success after success after success, and I'd never really been knocked back.
Yeah.
And it was a big knockback for me. It really hurt my ego and my pride big time, big
Wow.
time. And it just took me out. I couldn't handle being told that, no, you're not good enough. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? So, and it took me a long, long time to kind of grow a skin and
Yeah.
be brave again to try again. And to be honest with you, it wasn't until I'd had my daughter who has autism, it's quite severe autism, and I realized I needed to achieve a dream, to achieve for a family. I needed to push through. If she can be brave, I can be brave. And so about 6 years ago, I went back to school, and I started off with a diploma of digital film, and then I went into do a Bachelor of Screen Arts, and I just dived straight in. And let me tell you, that was life-changing.
Really?
I mean, I'd done a few like theatre shows up until that point, and I dabbled a little bit in short films and 48-hour film festivals and things, but nothing to the extent of how I live my life now.
Wow. I mean, and was it a little bit scary, like especially like when you're going in and you're looking around, and I think, it's a moment of just going, were you surrounded by a lot of people that were younger than you as you were going?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I walked in, I was a married mother, and there were these 19-year-old men, 18, 20-year-old men studying film, and I was the only woman, plus an older woman. So I'm 35 now, so I was like 32 when I started my degree. And they looked at me like I had grown horns. They just thought I was the weirdest thing they'd ever seen. What are you doing back at school? And they just, it was very, very strange.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I think it's so amazing. Like, it's so interesting. This is the thing that I want people to hear that get timid about. I'm a huge proponent of like, yes, get married, have kids, all that stuff, because something happens when we have children. Like something happens where you go, yeah, this isn't about me anymore. Like I remember having that earlier in my career where I went, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be the example to my children, or trying to carve out a path or a way for them. Not that they're not going to have their own difficulties to navigate stuff, but I need to be at least leading by example or helping out. Same situation as you, Jacqui, where I've got, son with autism, where there's such major challenges. And I don't know, there's something that happens when we get thrown adversity. Isn't it interesting? And I'm sure that you saw this with the young guys that you saw as you went back to school. And Paul, I know that you've experienced this too. I've had so many times where I look back at people that are younger, that are just starting out in their stuff. There's nothing I can't stand more than seeing, somebody that's 22 just going, wow, I'm so old right now. Or, oh, I'm so beat.
Yeah.
Oh, I just can't get my stuff done. And you just go, shut up. You have no idea, right? I mean, it's Paul, man, you've experienced this, right? Like, you just kind of go, you just have to dig down into the deepest part of you and say, yes, I'm exhausted. My kid threw up last night. I'm working off of 2.5 hours of sleep, and I've got to get this done. Let's go. Right.
And I'm not even getting paid for this. or I'm paying to do this.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just to touch on like the life experience thing, I remember when the movie version of Glengarry Glen Ross came out. I was watching the behind the scenes special features, and Jack Lemmon, this came out when I was one of those 19 or 20-year-old kids, and Jack Lemmon said something like, the role that he played in the movie was a role he wouldn't imagine a young kid playing on stage, because you have to bring so much of your life experience to those older characters. And he said, I'm reaching an age now where I'm finding the richest characters I've ever read for in my life, because there's so much life experience there, and there's so much story behind each character that, like, sometimes you got to be patient. And that really struck me even back then. And I was just like, wow, I can't wait till I'm that old and I can play those really cool characters. Yeah. But then, you go, okay, wait, that'll be there. I look forward to that what someday down the line when it comes. And even my wife, Jamie, she's experiencing that now. She's dreaming about going back to Broadway after she retires from the police department, and because of all the beautiful older women roles on stage. And it's something that she's looking forward to once she finishes her second career, which has been law enforcement, after her first career, which was Broadway. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's a thing about just like striving and creating. And I think that there's something that's deep inside. And Jacqui, I'm so glad that you found that again for yourself, because it's one thing to be like batted down, to go, I'm out of here. Yeah. What am I going to do? I mean, I was joking with Jacqui before we started the show. I mean, I remember clearly, I thought that my career was going to go a completely different route. I really did. I was convinced that I was going to be a major sitcom actor, that I was going to be on all of this stuff. And yes, I'd gotten into some major national commercials and stuff here in the States. But I remember clearly, man, I had this moment. It was like in the middle of the afternoon. And I just remember I had just come out. I was like standing in my house, just like in my underwear, just like weeping, just like going, none of this is working out the way I want to. And for me, it was like, I remember that clearly, because it was literally my prayer at that moment of just going, God, I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. I'm giving all of this up to you, because I don't know. Like, I can't control, like, there's so much of this that I can't control. So much that I thought if I do this, it should all work out that way. Right. I mean, I have had ongoing jokes I've had ongoing jokes that have been in my extended family of just going, yeah, Kevin, you're kind of like the story of Job. You're kind of like the guy that, like, you've done everything right, and then it feels like things fall apart along the way. And then you just go, but the fact is, it's like, to what Paul's point is, or the other stuff, like, I know that there are experiences that I've gone through, heartbreak, disappointment, stuff that has been like head shakingly. I've just seen other people like catapult by me. And all of that, I'm so grateful for all of the experiences that I've had, because it gives me such appreciation for when those victories happen. And I've also discovered a version of strength and silent serenity that comes in those moments when curveballs come my way. There is something that's happened with me, especially over the last several years. If I get a major crisis that comes out of left field and tries to hit me, there is now a moment of me just going very still and very quiet and going, okay, let's assess this and let's figure out how to do it. Whereas 10 or 15 years ago, I would be the guy screaming, crying, spinning out, going, this is it. Why me? It's the end of the world. And I think we have these experiences that come at us that strengthen us and that develop our character. And that's so hard as a creative, because we're continually putting our heart out, right? We're putting our stuff out on the line. And to your point, Jacqui, it's hard when you're putting out like, this is who I am. And somebody says, no, I don't want it. And just like, oh, so.
Yeah. I mean, if I had had any success after that, it just would have been bad. I don't think I was equipped to handle it. I don't think my mental health was strong enough. I just would have spiraled out of control personally.
Yeah.
I needed that reality of the world to teach me, to train me, to give me empathy, to give me understanding of how not to let anxiety drive the car, to let it sit in the car and go, you exist, but you're not letting you drive it anymore. You know, you can put your seatbelt on. We can all, you know, depression's next to you. You say hi to them. Over there's a little bit of, you know, another undiagnosed, you know, mental illness. We'll approach that one later. But I'm driving the car now. I'm the one in charge.
Right.
So, and for a long time, anxiety drove the bus, and I was dangling off the back of it with, like, you know, an old ball and chain. So, you know, it took a long time and a slow process of me going, no. I have a unique voice, have a talent, I am creative. And because that 10-year period of when I wasn't doing anything, I was so upset that I wasn't doing anything. And I felt like the biggest loser you'd ever met in your whole entire life, because I hadn't taken something that people had told me my whole entire life, that I was talented and creative and had, that's so different and innovative and imaginative. Would never have thought anything like that, Jacqui. Look how great and amazing you are. To then not doing anything with it and thinking I was just the losers of losers. So to go, no, I'm not a loser. I actually am somebody who's worth something. I am somebody who can do this, and I am, you know, a mother who can dig in. And I lived 40 minutes away from school, so it was like, get up really early and get in and spend the day away from my kid and put my family whole under pressure, because this will be worth it. This is something I want to do, and I feel so much better for having done it.
Wow. Was it more that way? I really want to unpack this moment for a second. Was it just having your daughter and also getting her diagnosis, or was there something else? Was there also support team? And believe me, you can tell me as much as you want or don't want, or you can tell me jump off a cliff with this stuff, right?
I'm an open book, so
right.
It's absolutely fine.
So because part of my journey, listen, man, part of my journey has been about a journey through sobriety and getting all this other stuff that's happened for me, right? So was there therapy that was involved in this? Was there a support group? Was there other people that you had around you? What was it?
It was definitely a lot of things from my childhood had been revealed to me, and I remembered a lot of things. And so I went into weekly therapy for 3 years. And that has been life-changing for me. I've had the tools to deal with my anxiety. I've had the tools to deal with my depression. On top of, also, I had a child since she was 2 years old, diagnosed with autism, quite severe autism. She was non-verbal at the point of diagnosis, but she has gained some of her language back. She does have ADHD and pica and a lot of other health issues, which made it very complicated. And I had to very quickly understand the bureaucracy around that diagnosis. So making appointments, getting things on time, bringing the paperwork, getting everything organized, the research, which so crazy, that has been so helpful in my career, you know, as a producer, as a production manager, as someone who gets funding for filming, as somebody who's applying unbelievably amount of help.
I know this. I have had this even stateside, like stuff that we've done, like navigating my son through some of the school system. I literally feel like I'm a paralegal. I feel like I'm a paralegal, right?
It's absolutely crazy. And then also we just bought a house in this tiny little town at the bottom of New Zealand. And we had brought it because there's something called KiwiSaver, where you put a percentage of your paycheck into a locked kind of fund for the government, and you can use it towards a house deposit. But we had enough to buy the house outright with no mortgage, no rent, anything. And we were poor. So we all of a sudden had a house, which, by the way, falling apart at the seams, but we had a house. And in a tiny town, and my husband looked at me and he said, I'm going to go back to school for OT. I'm going to do something. And I said, I want to go back to school too. And so I studied for 2 years distance learning. And that for me was also life-changing, because they would only release a week's worth of work at a time. Because in my brain, I hadn't realized you have all of this to do. Here's how you break it up. In my brain, I said, you have all of this to do, and I would melt down. I couldn't break it down into steps. I couldn't break it down into achievable moments. I couldn't go, okay, here's how I get to success. And so when they did that for me, I went, oh, life's going to be great now. I understand the magic of the world. I have got to stop being worried about the big picture and
Oh,
just focus on that little incremental steps towards the big picture. And I
oh,
was like, oh, okay. And then also I watched The Secret, which is very cheesy. I
oh,
know. So
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
don't judge. But I learned about manifestation and positive thinking and about being grateful and
Yes.
gratefulness, and which is something I practice still to this day,
Mm.
6 years later. So, and then also, so all lots of things kind of all fell together. Therapy the fear of, oh, I need to do this. This is what I know I've been led to this path. I know I need to do it. Husband encouraging me. Lots of little moments, and also I'd been documenting my life with Chloe. So I'd been blogging about our situation. I had a blog, so I was writing about it, and
Yes.
I had such wonderful reception about my writing and about people really connecting with me and going, oh, maybe I do still have the talent. It hasn't left me after all these years.
Yes.
Because that's a big fear, isn't it? 10
Oh.
years of not touching your creativity. What if it's left me?
Well, it's the whole
Which,
thing. I mean, we've talked about it here. Are you familiar? You're familiar with Stephen Pressfield's War of Art? I don't know if
yes,
you are. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
But it's that whole thing. It's the adversity that comes up, right? It's the resistance that comes up, and it's these small little voices that want to tell you you can't
oh
do it.
yeah,
The thing that you're talking about there with the concept of The Secret, and I'm also a big fan of like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, or these other ideas, but also Carol Dweck's Mindset, which is a
mm,
fantastic book, right?
mm,
But it's this idea of like not going too far afield from it, right? But there is something to be said about your mindset and how you are thinking about something and how you're envisioning something, right? And the
mhm,
fact is that so many of us get caught in this thing of like, well, I can't. Well, I can't. It's you're right. You can't, because you continually say that. You continually play that tape, and you continually keep putting that neurological groove in you. And I think something, boy, isn't it funny that we have to come to these points of adversity where we just go, wait a minute, damn it, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, it does not have to be this way. I can totally change this for myself, you know?
yeah.
And
It's
I'm
life changing.
speaking exactly to me, because I've been doing this. I've been battling this for decades in my life, decades of these little tapes or these little voices or these little adversities. Or sometimes I've been surrounded by people in this industry. It's the pot full of crabs. You're the guy that's trying to come out, and they're just like all pulling you back down, like, oh no, you don't. And you eventually get to a point of just going, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, I can completely change this and live like a full, verdant, creative life. This can happen, you know?
Mhm.
Now, you made a
So
decision. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, because even I went to this incredible summit, called the Power of Inclusion. It was about women and LGBTQ
Oh,
and people of color in our industry. And the great thing I like about this freelancing gig is because it reminds me of what they talked about there. I don't know if you know Stephen Canals from Pose.
no,
Uh,
no. Oh,
no,
yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he was there, talking and things, and he talked about sometimes you can't wait to be invited to the table.
That's right.
You can't wait for someone to open the door for you. You build your own table
Yeah.
and you open your own door. And I think about that all the time.
Mm.
I don't think my career to date has been textbook.
Mm-mm.
I didn't go to school when I should have, and I shouldn't have. I think I've done everything back to front, to be honest with you. I went to school last, and had a baby first, and then got married. I did everything.
Yeah.
The plan. I did
Right.
everything back to front. So, but I think about that all the time. I think that my career will always be something that I build that's unusual, that's different, that's not going to be what other people have done, and then people will look and go, "Oh, I can do that. Oh, that's interesting." I don't think I'll have a very stereotypical career
No.
and creatively going forward. I think it'll be always be something that what if I do this? What if I try this?
And I think it's going to be, isn't it funny? not to get too far down the path of like everybody's a unique snowflake, right? We are right now. Sometimes I think that gets like overdone, where everybody's unique and special. But to your point, which is the idea of like, yeah, the career that you're going to create is the career that was supposed to be created for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. And I think that we spend so much time, I know that I've done it. I've spent so much time chasing and trying to emulate or copy other people's things, and just going, do your own stuff, man. Like, do your own stuff. Do the things that really interest you, and like, you've got this stuff that's inside of you that wants to come out, so get it done. And it will be, it probably serves a couple of purposes, right? Which is to go, it shows other people the possibility that it can be done. I will say, I think that you'll probably concur with this. It definitely takes work. I mean, it definitely takes work and showing up, right?
Does it take work? Yes. But that's the reason why, they call this, the love. You've got to do it for the love of the craft, I suppose. But I don't know what it is. There's something about creativity that just goes, you have to do this. It calls to me, it pushes me, it drives me. I am highly ambitious. I am highly driven. So it just drives you. You don't get exhausted sometimes, or that nice exhaustion. You're like, oh, I worked 16 hours today, but it was doing what you love, and so you just go, oh, can't complain. So you've got to love this, and there is a fear that you don't have it to love. I suppose that was always my biggest fear, is it doesn't exist anymore. But once it was, so highly driven, hubby just like, can you just calm down for a second? You're a bit much. I said, nope, watch me go, too driven.
Let's talk about something that we talked about a little bit before the show. So, we're both experiencing this a little bit. I know that Paul's experienced this with the YouTube channel and everything he's been doing with the Audacity Network, but some of the work that we're doing is, we're online, or we tend to be at home a lot. Now, Jacqui, you and I have similar situations where it's like, and you've got a very unique situation, which is like, you're literally in an RV, a caravan, because you guys made the decision to move. You guys made the decision to move from your small town in South New Zealand, and you moved up to Wellington, right? Because was this was like a big chance that you guys were taking? What was behind the move?
I don't know if chance is the word, but risk is definitely the word. Risk is what we did. Because of COVID, there wasn't, before COVID, I was going to go to Disneyland to watch, to film children, Make-A-Wish children experience Disneyland for the first time. I'd had all these opportunities lined up in the local area. And so there was this kind of exciting moments for me where it's like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. And then COVID hit and it all went away. And it there was nothing I could really do in Southland. And so the risk was, Auckland, which is our big main centre, has got the most work, or Wellington, which has wetter. Where do we want to go and what do we want to do? So rent and living here is astronomical and out of this world crazy. It's on a little bit below New York standards in regards to rent ratios. It's one of the top 10 most expensive places to live worldwide. Like, it's just in comparison, it's very, very expensive to live here.
You mean like the whole country, or that specific area?
The whole country.
Okay.
It's
the whole country is that. The whole country is that.
It's very, very expensive to live here. So even the cost of like groceries, I would spend $300 to $400 for 4 of us, which is astronomical. That's like a third of our wage. Wow. Inflation went up 5%, when normally it's 1%. So our money now means very little. And we didn't really want to make this risk and not have a payout. So we thought the best way to mitigate this, to make sure our family was safe and that we were okay, is that we selected a caravan, a nice caravan, fully equipped, solar powered, everything's showered, kitchen, oven, everything you could ever want, ever need. And we've got a camper van next door with a teenager. So she's got somewhere to stay that's private and doesn't have to stay with her sister. And we've got a king size and a queen size bed. So everything's, organized, but it was a risk. And unfortunately, fun plot twist, the risk paid off for my husband. He's working at Weta. The fun plot twist, I didn't get the job, which is fine. I'm fine for that. No, I am
I'm
actually fine.
so happy for
I'm so
him.
happy for him.
See how
No,
my
actually,
teeth?
I will admit there have been tears of it wasn't for me, and I loved it. I would have loved it, and he started yesterday, and so he told me about all the movies that were being made and all these exciting things. And I was like, that sounds wonderful. I I can't. I'm really excited for you. And he has no joy about film the way that I do.
Right.
So he's just like he's just like, well, it's fine. It's IT, or, you know.
To tell you,
It's
I'll have to tell you, I working at Disney. I've been such a huge fan of Star Wars. Like I have loved Star
mm,
Wars my entire life. And when I heard that Disney had gotten a hold of Star Wars stuff, and in the time that I worked with them, like I got to work on a little bit of stuff with them, but like the major stuff, like I couldn't believe, like I'd hear people getting it going, I'm so happy for you. Why did they get it? I want that so bad, you know? So I feel your pain, sister.
But once again, I just go back to the secret, which is it probably wasn't meant for me because that would be too stereotypical a path for my for this building my own table and opening. You know, probably isn't meant for me. It was meant for him.
Yeah.
So, and also his success is our family's success. You know, the money is redonkulous. So, it is success. It's just one of those little moments of the risk paid off for somebody else. So that's fine. I'll just keep doing some really exciting freelancing things. You know,
Yes.
I'm currently working with some amazing companies. So I was like, I'll just keep doing that. It's fine.
Yeah. Who knows, man? The groundwork is being laid for you. I will tell you.
That's what I think. I literally think I'll look back and I'll go, that's why.
Yes.
If you hadn't done that project with that client and created those skills and created that interpersonal relationship, where would you be if it wasn't for that? Because I've seen it happen time and time again in my life.
Yeah.
You know, the 10 years I took off were meant so that I could be a great mother for my daughter. The 10 years I took off meant that I could learn those soft skills and interpersonal relationships, how to work in a corporation, those which have led me to create really fantastic relationships in my freelancing situation, which I can see the peers who I graduated with are maybe somewhat not that they're amazing guys I've worked with, but they have still got a lot of work in regards to that. So
Sure.
so you know, I needed that time off, even though it was fear based. I still need that life experience to create this. You know, I keep looking back going, that's why I didn't get that opportunity and that's why that didn't happen. And, you know, and so I'm a big firm believer going, I don't know why, but I will
Yes.
one day look back and go, this is why.
Yes. So much of it is just like going, thank you. Thank you for this thing. Thank you
Thank
for
you so much. I really appreciate it.
thank you for this opportunity in my life to learn again.
Learn and grow and just figure it out.
And while I'm growing, I'm gonna come over here and punch this wall for a little while.
I'm going to cry for a bit. It's everything's fine. Don't check on me.
I know. You just have to have that moment where you just go, okay. Now I did want to touch. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was about to say it's the grief of what you thought was to be and the storyline you had in your head, and it's the grief of going, that's not what's going to happen, and having a little boohoo and going, okay, on to the next. For me, at least.
Well, you know what? I think that you just mentioned a very important thing, because sometimes there is a grieving period that happens of like going, I thought that this is what it was supposed to be. Now, for me personally, from my background, I always feel like, you know, my background is always like God saying, I've got something so much better for you. Just trust me. Please trust me. I know that you think it's that, but I really need, and that's been a continual theme for me for the last few years. For me personally, it's just been God saying, I need you to lean into me. I need you to trust me on this. Yeah. And if you can lean into me and trust me on this, I promise it's so worth it. I promise it. And it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because I really just want to go, but I want that so bad, you know? And it's like, I totally get that you want that, but there's something so much more amazing that is coming, you know?
That's what I firmly, firmly believe. And I keep saying to my husband, I said, I know something's coming. I just don't know what it is. Yeah. And for whatever reason, it's just not happening right now. And it may be because I need to be there for my daughter for a period of time. It may have nothing to do with my creative journey. It may be just that she needs her mum at home for a while, which is totally okay and totally justified. I've got time. I think what the last 6 years have taught me with going back to school and doing all my work is that no matter what, I trust now my creative instincts.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter in regards to what opportunities I will get. I trust that I know that I'll do a good job. I trust that I've got this skills. I trust that I have a unique voice, so that no matter what job that I'm in, if I just trust those instincts, they've never really steered me wrong.
Yeah.
And I trust that I'm good. And that's something that I didn't have in the past when I was younger. I just was assumed, and that kind of fear and anxiety kind of also ran the rooster. But now it's like, no, I know I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to toot my own horn, but no, I'm good. Thank you very much. I've got, I've got the ability to learn. I haven't stopped learning in this process either. So I've got the ability to learn and ask questions and delve deeper into myself and understand deeper about where I'm coming from and what my voice is and how to hone and collaborate and all that sort of stuff. So it's a lot more about trusting my own ability.
Is there anybody that you're sort of like bouncing it off of? Do you have any versions of like mentors for yourself, or like what's part of your routine that you have for yourself to keep in that sort of that healthy state? Because we can't always keep it up that way, right? Like I have
we
to,
can't. I've got a really great friend that I went through my degree with, and he was a little bit older than the first guys I started with. He's been fantastic because he's also in that creative journey in regards to figuring out what his voice is. And so we bounce things back and forth. He'll send me a script he's working on. I'll send him an idea, a dream I've had. I was like, what if I develop this? So him and I have been really good at bouncing back and forth. I've got a couple of guys who down south I still keep in touch with in regards to collaboration. And if we ever were to get a big paying gig, we'd instantly call each other, would instantly say, hey, listen, come up here because they're really talented, they're really smart. So for me, but yeah, predominantly that one really close guy friend, him and I, like every day, sending a funny TikTok that sparks it. I sent him one about cavemen TikToks art, which is, art on cave walls, 2D static until you put a flame in front of it, and then it's a moving picture and it's the first film. So sending something like that really inspired us, and we were like, that's incredible, that's amazing, and putting those into our work. So it's not so much mentorship. I don't have anyone ahead of me in the industry. I don't really know. I had an amazing showrunner called William Davies, who wrote How to Train a Dragon and Johnny English and Twins.
That's right. Yes.
He was working on a Netflix show in Queenstown, and I was just a lowly runner. And I was in the right place at the right time, and somebody had said, does anyone know how to write? And I just very tenderly at the photocopy went, I know how to write. And he was writing a script or working on a script for Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, and he has a production company in England, and he needed a writer to look at the notes that Andy had written, look at the script, and then make some adjustments, the script edit. And it was a dream situation for me I got to have FaceTime with this incredible Netflix showrunner. I got to sit down and read Andy's notes. I got to sit down and go through this incredible script and then send him the notes and then have his feedback come back, which is another thing why I trust it, because if William Davies thinks I'm good, I'm good. Don't worry about it. You can't tell me anything now, because if William Davies thinks that I'm phenomenal and he's going to recommend me for other jobs, you can't tell me anything right now. It's just it's game over. So I've had lots of opportunities like that, like right place, right time.
Yeah. Question I have for you, we were talking about just beforehand. So in the unique situation that we have at times with working remotely and working freelancing, and sometimes we're in these situations like you're in, where it's like you're at home and you're with family. Like this is a thing that I've been trying to figure out how to navigate. Sometimes we are in these situations that don't, it'd be amazing if we had like these personal offices that had like the beautiful view that was out there, or we could do the thing, or sometimes even just getting like the alone time to go, great, nobody's going to bother me for the next 9 hours. I'm fantastic. I'm free to do what I want. Right. That's not the case all the time. I have to battle it myself, where I have to try to find it. One of the things I find myself doing is constantly getting up, super early, 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, where everybody's asleep, to try and just get my work and stuff done. How the heck do you navigate it?
Yeah, well, I have zero space and zero respite at the moment. And for me, it is late at night. So once she's asleep and husband is asleep, I have those periods from about 9 o'clock at night till 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm an editor and lead project manager for a YouTube digital studio called Movement Digital Studio, and I have regular clients who have deadlines, YouTube deadlines. So I have to, in that period of time, do it. I'm at a stage now with husband working such long hours, and also we've now kind of settled in our place where I'm kind of thinking I want to write. Like I want to get back into writing again. I haven't written in about a year.
Yeah.
And I have ideas and I have moments. How am I going to create little pockets of time? Because that's what I did with my degree. And that's what these young guys couldn't understand, which was it was a huge workload at the school. How do you navigate that with everything else? And everything was all about, what can I do in a pocket of time?
Yeah.
I have half an hour, what can I do?
Yeah.
I have an hour, what can I do? And it's just these focused, hyper-focused pockets of time that I've got, that I probably don't sleep as much as I should, and I probably don't get as much rest as I should. But what can I do in these small pockets of time? And it's about, I have to now create that for myself. So when she's at school, I've got maybe a 3-hour pocket of time where I'm not dealing with things with the RV and caravan, and I'm not dealing with that. Maybe I can fit in some creativity in that 3-hour period of time with no interruptions, because I do live genuinely on the edge of a forest. There's a stream a meter away, so I have a magical space in which I can look out nature wise, but time wise it is, and survival wise it has been really, really hard to get in that creative space when we were transitioning the move, and we were transitioning the careers, and we were transitioning the children into school, and it was pure survival, no creativity. Other than work, I had to kind of force that creativity. But let me tell you, when I sat down to do I was like, oh, I love this. Yep. It was just, oh, great. Even though it was kind of forced, you do have to force yourself, in my opinion, to be creative, because you're just awesome. Like, I have to. I've got to pay the bills.
Yeah,
that brings with it so many different challenges as well, and so many lessons to learn. But good for you.
My gosh. No, Paul's a late night guy as well, where he's just like, great. How much sleep do you get, Paul? I don't even know. Do you get much sleep?
I get some sleep. Yeah, I'm usually asleep around midnight, and I wake up at 6 to your text messages that you sent me at 5.
I'm so sorry. Listen, you should mute your phone at night. I mute my phone. That's what I do. I thought everybody does.
Yeah, and I do, like, I totally connected with what she said. Like, the kids go to bed, my wife goes to bed because she gets up way before me, and so like those last hours of the night are always like when I get to do any creative work or creative hobby. And yeah, it's just kind of when my head's in the right space for it. It's really hard for me to do, like, if it's noon on a Wednesday, it's really hard for me to sit down and work on a screenplay or something. But if it's 10 p.m., I'm there for some reason. I can't imagine doing it professionally, because then I would have to be doing it at noon on Wednesday, and that scares the hell out of me. So
well, we can dream. We can dream for that day when it comes, right? So
yeah, we can
face
dream.
that challenge. Yeah,
we just continue doing. So, Jacqui, here's my some of my wrap up questions for you. If you had somebody that was starting out, or somebody that also went through a similar situation as you, what's the advice that you would give to them? What would you say to somebody that's, number one, starting out in this career and wants to give a go for it? And follow-up question, what's somebody that you would say that's in that dry patch, that's in that patch of just going, I can't do this. I thought that I could, but I'm the biggest loser. What would you say to those people?
So for the first lot of people who are starting out, I would give advice of do everything. In an industry, we get pigeonholed. You are a second assistant director, and that's it. You are a writer, that's it. You can't also do lighting, you can't be a gaffer, you can't do sound. If somebody is setting out, you are in a really wonderful position to try everything. Give everything a go, learn as much as possible, so that when you are finding something that you do want to do long term, you have the knowledge and skills going, I know how I want this to be set up, I know how this is going to work, I know what we need to do over here. Don't be afraid to slip into somebody's corner and go, can you show that to me? Can you let me know how that works? And just investigate and be curious. Let your curiosity really reign supreme. Let yourself know and be curious about other things. Don't rush yourself into a pigeonhole. You know, don't push yourself into that place because you think that's what people need you to do, and that, you know, people say, what do you want to focus on? How do you want to be? You don't have to. You can just be curious. Just let your curiosity open. The second lot of people are in those dry spells is to first don't let fear drive your car. And that's a lot, I think, what to do with these dry spells is that we're afraid we're not enough. We're afraid that we aren't smart enough, we aren't talented enough, we aren't worthy enough. And that is purely fear explaining that to us, and that fear's a liar. Fear isn't the truth. You may not be good enough right now to walk onto a film set, but you are good enough to learn and to create and start. You are good at those, you can start those incremental steps into it. I didn't start straight away writing, you know, script editor with Will Davies. That took years of my degree to get to that point. You know, it took years for me to get to the brave point. It takes years for me now to be a freelancer and have these fancy titles. You know, but start that step. Start learning, start writing, just do it. You know, don't be just, even if no one sees it, there's some, I mean, if you don't look back on your work and cringe with an almighty cringe of the embarrassment of your early work, you're not a creative. You're just not. If you look back at your early work, go, fabulous, great, love it. No, your early work will always be, cool.
That's so good. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I'm so glad that you said that, because so many people get it so locked in that it has to be perfect, that it has to be right. It's like, no, it needs to be, you need to look back and just go, oh boy, that was some crap, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, I watched Jane Campion, you know, who did The Piano and Top of the Lake. I watched her first early film that she'd made when she first started out. I mean, great, wonderful mind, but still, you know, people don't start off. Peter Jackson did a whole bunch of short films before The Frighteners. He did a whole bunch of work before The Hobbit. People start off embarrassing and cringy and bad, and that's okay. It's okay to be embarrassing. I mean, I could send you a short film that I did that just makes my skin crawl. But I learned so much from it. I learned so much doing everything with it. So just that don't let fear and embarrassment hold you back. Just absorb it and go, yeah, that feels gross, and then just keep pushing through, and then go, look at and then the great thing is you look back and you go, I have so improved since then. I am so much, and you feel pride because you've learnt that through that journey. But yeah, so that would be my advice for those two groups of people.
I just had an image that popped in my mind as you were talking about that. I just think about those videos that you see online that show people of when they were first learning how to draw, and then they keep track of themselves over time. And you'll see what people do over the course of like 5 years or 10 years, like they've been documenting themselves. And you go, you need those chicken scratch, really bad things. You got to get through the chicken scratch so that you get to the other masterful stuff. Oh my gosh.
It's all those incremental steps, you know, and that includes really bad creative takes that you go, I'll try this. It didn't land. You have to be okay with why it didn't land, learn from it, keep that curiosity, like I was saying, and then move on to the next. You can't be afraid of being embarrassing, because we are all very embarrassing with our early work.
I think that's so awesome.
My college friend Billy Ray once said something that just still echoes in my mind today. When I was, trying to get in shape, he said, "Hey, I was embarrassed at the gym." And he goes, "Nobody ever walks into a gym ripped."
No. They just don't. I
remember watching 6 Feet Under, and one of the main characters was in this massive hall, and one of the guys had said, I want everybody to sit and close your eyes and think everybody's thinking about me and everybody's paying attention to me, and all of the crowd starts laughing because you're so busy thinking about yourself and about what everybody else is thinking about you. No one else is watching you judging you because they're too busy thinking about themselves.
Yes.
And I remember being, oh, okay, I get it now. Because, I'm 6'1", I'm a very, very, interesting looking person. So I'd always been like, oh, I'm such a center of attention, I don't like it. But then I realized no one's really paying attention to me. No one really, they're too busy with themselves.
It's kind of true, right? I mean, it's so true. It's like everybody's in their own junk. Like everybody's the main character in their own movie. And you're going, they don't got time for your stuff. Just keep moving along.
Just don't.
Just keep moving along and doing your stuff, man. It's awesome. Jacqui Bree, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to do this. You and I've been working for a while, but to finally get to just sit down and to just get to learn a little bit more about you, it has been absolute joy. Is there any place that we should have people like point to, like specifically for a website for you or anything like that, or anywhere that people could like find you for stuff if they wanted to learn more?
That's really great, and I probably should know all my social medias off by heart, but
That's okay.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm currently working with Movement Digital Studio, which you can look that up, MOVMNT Digital Studio. I am on their website. You can also find me under Mrs. Jacqui Bree on Twitter, and also on Jacqui Bree Filmmaker on Instagram. Yay, I remembered. I'm so proud of myself.
You did it.
Yes, I did it. Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was so exciting.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you and to introduce you to all of our friends here.
Absolutely. Our friends truly enjoyed it. Hey, Paul, how can people help us out here with your creative journey so that people can hear stories like what we heard from Jacqui tonight?
Thoughts and prayers. I'm joking. A positive review on any platform in which you consume podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to. Go ahead and give us a shining review, and that'll help people who like things like this find things like this and this thing.
We truly appreciate it. If you want to listen to other past episodes as well and help to donate to the show to offset server costs, you can always go to yourcreativejourneypodcast.com. We have a donate button that's over there, and we want to thank our entire crew that helps us with getting the news out. Christina, Dari, I hope you're well and doing well. Thanks for all of your help. And also a big shout out to our audio editor, Steve Erdeman. You are awesome. Well, everybody, that's it for this week. Thanks, everybody, for watching us on YouTube. Please do us the biggest favor that you can also do. If you like this, can you please do us a favor? Hit the like button, subscribe button on YouTube, and also maybe share this link with somebody else so that more people get eyeballs on it, because that can only help the show. So that's all I got to say. I'm going to wrap it up for all of us right now as we give it a close. Jacqui, Paul, thanks so much, guys. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, guys. We will see you later. Bye, everybody.
Play that awesome music by the Swells.
See you.